Clearly, many organizations utilize some form of SWOT, strategic strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis when developing their strategic plans. However, there has never been a tool until now, the ImpX tool, which goes beyond the traditional SWOT analysis by quantifiably analyzing the importance and impact of the various SWOT elements by comparing them against each other, from which organizations are able to truly determine their greatest strengths and what to do with them, their greatest weaknesses and how they need to fix them, their most executable and strategic opportunities, and their greatest threats, when subsequently discerning and deriving what they need to be doing in the next year and in the years to come. This video assumes that now you've completed the ImpX process, all the comparable data. And now we're going to pick up on how to interpret the results of that information. So let me share screen with you and just go to a sample ImpX analysis. And let's talk about this particular example. What you've done already is you and your leadership team have developed your differentiating strengths, truly differentiating strengths, your internal weaknesses, truly the areas needing most attention by your organization, your strategic short-term and long-term opportunities down the left axis, and your external threats, things that can come from the outside to impact your organization. In the yellow areas here, you have given individual impact or importance data to each one of those individual elements. And that's just really a for-your information only, or an FYI, of how important you felt these particular elements were on a standalone basis. Then the tool took you through a process of discerning your strategic impact or importance of the strengths in relationship to your ability to execute the opportunities, your weaknesses in relationship to their impact or importance on your ability to execute your opportunities, your strengths on your ability to combat the external threats that are going to happen, or to what level these weaknesses were going to be even more of an impact to these threats that are coming in from the outside. Now the data is full. You see all the numbers. What do we do with it? Well, first, we take all, the system automatically tabulates all of these scores for each strength down the page in relationship to how it impacted the strategic short and long-term opportunities and how it impacted the external threats. There are two subtotals here, down to a total. The top numbers, and you can see these already been re-ranked in descending order, the top numbers are truly your greatest strengths. And so what do you do with the strength as an organization? Well, usually these do not emerge as some sort of a strategic initiative, but more of a tactical exercise. We've got to make sure that we're using these in our brochures, on our website, our elevator speeches. Whenever we're talking about our organization, we've got to be stressing these differentiating strengths of why people would want to come to us or be a part of our organization, whether it be a client, vendor, whatever it is, donor, et cetera, et cetera. These are what makes us so strong and special. So we need to tell them about that, whatever media that outlook that looks like. Then there's the internal weaknesses. We do the same thing. We add down the page, all the areas in white, get subtotals here, down to a total. And these totals in descending order, once again, the largest total are truly your greatest internal weaknesses. And to me, this is the most important thing on the page, because it says, if we don't fix these potholes in the road, these cracks in our foundation, in our launching pad for the future, where we've got cracks, then we're going to continue to fall in those cracks or in those holes. where we won't be minding the gap that exists in our organization. So these are vitally important that we become aware of them, that maybe it means we have to take a step back to take a giant leap forward, but we've got to spend the time, money, and effort to fix these deficiencies. And I'll explain more why in a moment. But that's how the data is interpreted down here in terms of your largest weaknesses. Usually in year one with any new client, at least one, if not two, of the maximum 3 initiatives for the year is in relationship to fixing these weaknesses, because we want to certainly launch and ultimately achieve our opportunities. But these weaknesses, once again, are the potholes that prevent that from happening. Then how do we interpret the magnitude of these different strategic short-term or long-term opportunities? Well, in this case, we've evaluated all the strengths against them, and we've evaluated all the weakness impact against in relationship to these opportunities. So we add across the page the strength score and get a subtotal here, and we add across the page the weakness score and get a subtotal here, and then we net the score. We don't add those two subtotals together, but we net them. We subtract the weakness score from the strength score, and we get a net score over here. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. I'm sure there's an initiative over here or an opportunity that is really exciting. Maybe it's the thing, the latest sizzle in the industry, what you feel like you should be doing. But maybe it didn't score so well. Maybe it's down here. These scores represent that if you don't make any changes to your organization, improve your strengths, certainly improve your weaknesses, and fix your weaknesses, or I shouldn't have said improve your strengths, but announce your strengths or get them out there or make sure everybody's aware of your strengths. But most importantly, that you're not filling the holes that are your weaknesses. Then these are the most executable opportunities, because they're basically saying you haven't made any change to your organization. So these top numbers, these top descending order opportunities would be the most executable opportunities. But back to that one that was super exciting. Well, if you read across, you're going to see the areas that are really bringing those scores down that made it score so low on the page. And so the discussion topic with your leadership team is, how long will it take us to fix these deficiencies, so that if these things were fixed, that would probably score much higher on the scale, and therefore maybe would be our greatest opportunity in the next 12-month period. But it's contingent upon us fixing the weaknesses that are holding us down. It's pretty simple, but it allows you to see that, because it's a proven fact that 90% of all strategies organizations develop are never executed. Isn't that amazing? And one of the reasons is they don't clearly understand when they set out to achieve something, the potholes that are about to fall into that prevent them from getting where they want to get to. The last area, the external threats. Once again, we add across the page the strength scores against those threats, and we get a subtotal, and the weakness scores and get a subtotal, and once again, we subtract the two. But this time, it's not the largest positive number that's your biggest threat, it's your largest negative number, because you're so inherently weak, it's going to make that threat even worse. And so that largest threat, this becomes a discussion of, boy, if we make no changes and we stay as weak as we are, this is the biggest threat. What does that mean to us? Does that mean that maybe that's a segment of our organization we need to stop doing at all? And yes, if we fix our weakness, does that help? We would hope so. But maybe we're thinking about pursuing a new vertical market or something, but yet that threat is so large and we're so large that maybe we should abandon ship on that and not think about it. So there's a conversation that has to go on between the facilitator and the leadership team about these opportunities and these threats after looking at what are primarily the potholes that are going to prevent us from executing or for combating those threats. And what does that mean to us? And so literally, when facilitating through these conversations, you may come up with like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different possible initiatives for this next 12-month period based upon the conversation. How to fix weaknesses, maybe execute what we're most capable of executing, or maybe it's pursuing some of the initiatives that were actually down the page a little bit on the basis that we're going to fix these weaknesses. Now, this is really important, but statistics show that you really are only going to accomplish no more than 3 initiatives in the next 12-month period. So it's real important to take that list of 7 or 8 things that maybe were discussed and then discuss them openly. And then I recommend doing a democratic vote of what do people feel are the most important that we need to focus on in that next period of time, that next performance period, that next 12-month period. Understanding that all of these elements are ultimately in play if they don't make the cut in the first year, in the second year, third year, et cetera, that these are future things that are going to be a rise in terms of their ability, our ability to execute them, and their importance as we fix these weaknesses, as we accomplish maybe the top 1 or 2 opportunities, or combat a certain threat by doing something special. And then from there, in future periods, we can move on and capture some of these other elements. So that's a quick overview of how to interpret the results. There's going to be a written narrative on the landing page to help further this. And certainly if there's any questions, please call us at KPS. Thank you very much for allowing me this time with you.